I'm going to be installing this dash cam in my 2022 Ford Escape plug-in hybrid. This is a front and rear dash cam. I got this off Amazon. I'll share the link in the description below, but this is supposedly supposed to record in 4K for the front only. And I'm going to wire this in such a way, have these fuse taps. I'm going to hide the cables so that it's not being plugged into a cigarette lighter or anything like that. And I'm going to plug into the fuse so whenever the car starts up, the camera starts up. And the way I'm going to do that is with this. There is a cigarette lighter, or not a cigarette lighter, but this is a USB port that I can wire with these wires and tap that into these fuses and into my fuse box in the 2022 Ford Escape. So I'll show you that whole process in this video. First, we're going to open this dash cam and see what's inside. By the way, this is a GKU D600, I guess. D600 4K dash cam. There's a manual inside. There's an electrostatic sticker. I guess this is the sticker that you stick onto your windshield before applying the dash cam to your windshield. Okay, so these are important, don't lose these. Here is one dash cam. It looks pretty cool. There's the camera lens right there. This is the adhesive that you use to stick to your windshield, but not directly to your windshield. You're gonna stick this onto your windshield first and then stick this onto that. What else is in this box? There's a bunch of cables. There's a cigarette lighter adapter, which I am not going to use. And I think this is the rear camera. Rear camera has a very long cable. And this cable, where does this cable plug into? Wow, this cable is supposed to plug directly into the front camera. So I'm gonna need to route two cables, which isn't gonna be fun, but I guess that's how they do it. And then there's a USB port where you're gonna use for power. Also in the box is this tool, so you can get the cable in the trim. There's more adhesive stickers. There's like these cable organization clips. There's also an Allen wrench. The Allen wrench is so that you can adjust the angle of the camera. All right, so I basically know how this is gonna work. I'm gonna need to route a long USB-C cable to this USB right here. All right, so I'm gonna start setting up the fuse for this. I have a 10 amp fuse in this tap right here. I'm gonna add another 10 amp fuse to this. You should actually add like a 3 amp fuse for cameras, but I don't have an extra 3 amp fuse right now, so I'm just gonna use a 10 amp fuse. Okay, so it looks like that. That's what the tap looks like. There's an end to this. So this is my USB plug right here. See, it has a positive and a negative. Here's the positive. Positive has a fuse inside right there. So I'm gonna put it back in, close it up. One end of the fuse, this is positive, so it goes to the positive here. So I'm gonna connect that. Then there's a negative side, which is the black, and this is gonna be the ground. So I'm gonna attach one end to the negative side of the USB port, and then the other one, I will connect it to a ground inside the car. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna cut this wire here, and then I'm going to expose this wire. I'm gonna actually expose more of the wire. There you go. I'm gonna add that to the wire tap. It is the tap, and I have this end right here. I'm gonna put in the wire and the wire tap. And then what you're gonna need to do is you're gonna need to crimp this. And then I'm gonna crimp it using a lot of force. I do not want that wire to break free. Okay, that's on pretty tight. I have one end going into that fuse, and then the other end is gonna go into the ground of the car. All right, we're gonna go test this out in the car right now. I'm trying to use this screw right here as a grounding point. I'm not sure if it's gonna work or not. All right, now I'm gonna plug in this tap. Okay, let's see. Oh, right now I'm getting power. The ground definitely works, because when I unplug the ground, it turns off. So now I know that this tap is working. So I'm just gonna leave this right here. I'll tidy up the cables later, but for now I know that the power source is working. So it's finally able to pry out this center console unit, you see. I used a flathead screwdriver, but other people use this tool called a WRD-TRT tool. What you gotta do here is just, you see this layer right here and this, just pry underneath and it's gonna pop this off. Do that here and on the other side, exactly the opposite side of it. First, do that, it pops this down. And then what you're gonna do for this part is, you see there's these two clips right here and there's this little gap underneath this clip. You see this thing right here? There's this clip right here. And you're gonna put your screwdriver in this and then pry it down. So when it's up here, you go up here, there's one side here, pry that down, and then you're gonna pry the other side down as well. You're gonna have to use a little bit of force because it's in there pretty tight. But now that I have revealed this, now I can start working on the camera. So I have this 6-foot USB-C to USB-A cable right here that I am going to route through here. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mount my camera over here, probably something like this. So I have to clean this area first. I'm gonna use this pad. I also got my fingerprints all over this area. We're trying to pry that overhead console off. Okay, so I'm gonna clean that. And this camera kit supplies you with these plastic sheets. I'm gonna remove this and then place it. Try to get all the bubbles out. All right, when I'm done with that, I can start trying to attach my camera. So I'm gonna remove this adhesive right here. I have secured my camera. I'll plug in my USB right here. They also supplied this cable right here with this end that I can connect here so that I can connect that to the rear camera. So I'm also gonna plug that in. I'm going to start routing the cable inside this trim right here. I'm going to go all the way over to the right hand side. I'm wondering if this trim comes off right here. So I just pried off this trim. The one that's going to the back, I'm going to route up on this side right here so it can go back. So I was able to open this and then route this USB cable into here. And then through my glove box, you see the cables come in here. And I'm gonna route the power all the way up to this hole so I can connect the power. The way to remove this glove box is, you see this, there's a clip in here. I can press this on the side and do the same thing on this side. And it lets me lower the glove box a little bit more so I can get to the back right here. So what I'm going to do on the bottom, you see this power that I have on the bottom? I'm going to route this up. I routed that up in the hole. You see it's right there and right here. And now I can plug in the USB to that. Okay, it was hard to do with one hand, but I finally did it. It's right there. So I'm going to leave that there. Close the glove box. And then now I know that it's long enough, I'm going to clean all these cables up right here. So I can put this back together. There's some clips in here that I'm trying to get to clip back. All right, I finally put this trim back. That was a lot of work. You had to really use a lot of force right here to snap it back in and make sure all the tabs are aligned. Okay, now that all that's done, I can put this plate back on. Okay, that's on. All right, right here is the camera right there, as you can see. All right, I'm gonna put this panel back on the bottom so it's all clean. All right, for the rear camera, I can continue routing this back here. Okay, I was able to route it through here, slotted it through, and then went through here and pulled it out. Now I'm going to continue going up this side right here. Just put the back seat down. Now I'm going to continue routing this through this trim right here. All right, I have it coming out here through here. Then I'm going to eventually route this through here, the back, and to up there. I need to remove this. These white clips here, they're notches inside, which you can use a screwdriver to release. So you see these notches? You use a screwdriver to press it in so you can pull it out. There's one on each side, so there's 4 of them, one left, top, right, and bottom. Once you do that, you can pull this out, and then you're gonna need to do that same thing for the top right here. I'm also gonna take this bezel off. You just snap it off. It literally just snaps off. I had to use a really long screwdriver, and then I tied this electrical tape at the end, and then I tied like a knot around this. I literally tied a knot around this, and then sprayed the inside of this tube with WD-40, and then I sprayed the screwdriver, and after I wrapped the cable, I sprayed that with WD-40, then I pulled it through the tube this way so I could get this cable out of the other side. All right, now I'm gonna feed the cable up here. Tape my cable to the coat hanger. Okay. Since I have my cable now, I can close a lot of these sockets. You gotta make sure the gasket is over the clips. There you go. If the gaskets are not over the clips, it is gonna leak. All right. Clean the area that I want to stick the camera in. Comes with this sheet that you can affix to your windshield. I'm gonna take my camera, take off the adhesive, and attach the camera. Okay, after that's done, I'm going to connect the 2 cables like so. I heard a beep. Now that I'm done with the cables, I'm going to tie them together. And then I'm going to hide the cables in the trim. And I'm going to put back the trim. All right, if we look at my app, you can see that the app was working. You can see my front mirror and my rear. Here's my front windshield. Here's my rear windshield. My rear window is tinted, so I can't see it really well, but I'm gonna calibrate it some more so I can get the best view from it. But it looks like everything is working right now. I would say that this is a moderate to difficult install because a lot of the trim is very hard to get the cable into. But I finally did it and everything's working and I'm very happy with this camera. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.